Hey everybody, I'm so sorry it's been a while, and sometimes I just need to unplug. How about you? Do you ever unplug from just the public persona of who you are? So it's been a great season for me. I enjoyed the holidays with family and friends. Got some time outside in the cold weather and walking in the snow. Up-leveled my wardrobe a bit, and I've been pleased about some of the cool outfits that I've been putting together. And I'm working on I'm in a life coaching school program, and so I'm working on myself and additional self-development within myself that will again add to what I provide for my clients. And I was just thinking today about who you are right now and who you are becoming, the person that you're leading yourself into becoming. And it's a process. And I was thinking about how sometimes we are going to get tested in terms of how committed are we in moving forward with our vision, future me. And the old me is going to circle around and try to pull some of the negativity patterns that I've become accustomed to over my lifetime. And so as we level up, we are taking out our sword in the spirit, and also literally a sword in our life, and we're letting go, we're cutting down, we're slashing and thrashing, what needs to go, what needs to be eliminated. And sometimes that's just the stuff in our head. Those are the negative thoughts in our head that we're so used to saying out of a habit and a pattern, and we need to slash those thoughts. We can become all things in Christ Jesus. And when we really embrace that, we are becoming embodied into who the Lord is. He's ruling and reigning on the throne. And if we want to do the same thing, that means that we need to level up. We need to, get out those negative, stinking thinking habits, and we need to cultivate and plant new thoughts, new positive thoughts, new thoughts of revelation, and new thoughts of becoming that future me, that future you, that you are embracing and becoming. And like I said, it is a process. And so what I've really noticed in the past, I'm going to say 3 months of actively, watching the thoughts in my mind, and then, noticing it and being like, I captured that thought. I don't want to repeat that thought. And then I have to sit with it first and be like, where did this thought come from? And, what point in my life did I take on that thought? Was it something that was passed down to me from my family or heritage? Was it a thought that was imposed upon me in school or from my social network? Was it something that I learned in my career, in my business field? Is that something that was like kind of the mainstream of what I was exposed to in the business world? And then when I capture that thought and I say, okay, now I know where it comes from, and now what am I going to do about it? And like I said, the first part is awareness. We have to stop and catch those thoughts and identify where the origination point is from those thoughts, those negative thoughts, those negative, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to be able to, climb out of this mess, I'm broken, nobody's going to see the elevated me, so why bother? All of these negative thoughts. And when they pop up, due to certain circumstances and certain situations that we are currently, with our current me, current you, that you're living, going through, struggling through the current obstacles, the current circumstances and situations that you're currently find yourself in. It's like we're still in the midst of the obstacle, we're still in the midst of the struggle, yet we are reprogramming ourselves, we're reprogramming our minds, we're retraining our brain to choose, to decide that that old thought is not going to be anymore. That old thought has got to stop here and now. That old thought has been ruling and reigning over our future because we keep falling into that crab pit where all the other crabs are pulling us down, and those are those negative thoughts that keep circling and looping in your mind. So first is we have to identify and acknowledge that those negative thoughts are there. Second, we need to figure out the origination point or the whereabouts of how that negativity came into being. And then we have to choose that we want something different, that we want our future me, that you want your future you to be far beyond the current you of who you are right now. And so in order to then move forward, we have to establish our ideal future me, my ideal future me, your future ideal you. And in order to envision that, we need to get out our sword and we need to slash out the things that are no longer part of our past reality, things that we don't want to be part of our current reality, and things that we want to now, moving forward, bring into our future reality. So we need to identify what needs to go, what we need to let go of, and we need to identify exactly what we want to bring forth into the future. And I like to look again back at the Proverbs 31 woman, and the Proverbs 31 woman is maintaining her household. She is offering hospitality to travelers and people that as they stop to her home, they can become nourished and refreshed. And that means that she is maintaining her sense of environment, her sense of space, her sense of her extended, like, her wardrobe is one representation, but a woman's home is the extension of her wardrobe. It's the comfort, the coziness, the being prepared, the, having viable meals that you can quickly throw together, having your home clean and organized, being able to entertain business and out-of-town guests and to be able to provide for them in an excellent way. It also means that the woman of hospitality, the Proverbs 31 woman, is also able to assist and help the widows, orphans, and poor. That the Proverbs 31 woman is not just looking out for herself and her own personal interests. She is. And she's looking out for the interest of her family, her extended family. And that extended family can also mean people of her faith, people that are walking in integrity as she is, and to support those on their journey as they travel together in community, supporting and building one another up. So aligning with people that are on the journey to self-improvement in terms of leveling up to who God wants us to be, and aligning our self-development with that of God's ideal for us. And to be in alignment with God, the basics are, number one, to understand that there are the 10 commandments. They're not something from the Old Testament that you just shove off and pretend doesn't have importance anymore. Like, you need to realize that those 10 commandments are a basic, instruction for how to navigate your life. And when you're following those 10 commandments at the bare minimum, you have a better sense of who God is, and that he is a righteous and just God. And at the same time, when we realize, as we strive to level up and to honor these 10 commandments, we find that legally it's challenging. Legally it's difficult. And we fall short. You know, there's not one perfect person. We all fall short. We all have sinned. We all struggle with our current parameters of what obstacles are on our plate. Yet, when we look to the true light, the way, the truth, and the life, and we look to the life of Jesus, of Yeshua, the one who walked that perfect life, and we look to his death, burial, and resurrection, and we see that he graciously took on all of our problems, all of our sins, all of our everything. And when we still fail at following these simple, not easy, but simple 10 commandments, we find that, wow, this is challenging. And, you know, how did he do it? And then we have to continue to put at his feet to like lessen our current burden of whatever we're struggling with and give it to him and say, you know, Lord, Vav, like I nail all this crap and this burden to the cross. And I'm sorry I keep grabbing it and taking it back. Like, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to trust and be still and know that when I'm in your word and you're teaching me and growing me and leveling me up through your Torah, through your word in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and all the other readings that make an impact, such as the Apocrypha, such as other, you know, historical books and commentaries that help to make the meaning and the understanding become alive, and to be able to become awakened through the wisdom of the word. And then as we become awakened in our individual Bible and Torah study, then we are able to carry that torch, that lightness within, and that glow that we shine through because we get and we understand certain aspects of becoming, of leveling up, and we put them into practice. Like, that's the key. You can't just read this stuff. I mean, you can, but if you just read and have, like, you know, a mental understanding, but there is no application of the understanding, then that's dead faith and dead works, because you have to put your faith into practice. You need to put your understanding of the Torah, your understanding of the Bible, your understanding of the basic instructions before leaving Earth. You need to be able to put that into an actual, concrete, practical application, to put it in action. And in order to put it in action, that means that you need to take action steps. So I'm going to give you an example, and it's going to illustrate focus, intention, and movement. Okay? So I was reading in the Torah, in the Bible, about better ways to understand financial investing and saving. And I was reading on understanding that our past mistakes are essentially holding us back until we change those thoughts. And, you know, how you come out of, quote, a debt or negative thinking, a debt-minded or negative thinking, is that you've got to find a way to get into the positive. You've got to figure out a way to stop the debting, to get into the positive alignment. And so I then started to do a word search on what I was understanding through where I, through my past mistakes, through my past sins, had made errors in my decision making, in how I was living my life financially, and my errors of that. I was thinking that if I kept going down this route, that things would just line up and kick into place. And at the same time, I was also understanding that until you deal with the deficit, until you deal with the debt, until you deal with the negative aspects that are running in the background of your life, you're still, it's like your energy, your alignment is leaking, okay? And so I started to, number one, read specific word studies on the word like discipline, consistency, persistence, in relation to one area of my life, which is finances. And as I continue to research, then when I understood those concepts, I then immediately put it into practice. So I created this visual poster to illustrate the war within me that I was fighting about my finances. And then when I saw myself as the warrior, and that this is a battle that I am in the midst of, reclaiming my sovereignty after the negativity, the manipulation from a drug addict, narcissist who stole my identity, who messed up my finances. And it's been a journey of time also. It's not something that you just snap your fingers and immediately you just get back all your wealth that you had previously. There's time that you must invest to learn new principles and to apply them. And when you have a large stack of assets and all of a sudden they're gone, it's going to ramp up. So I'm reading this understanding about being a warrior with my finances. I'm thinking of words that are going to help me to stay focused on the person I'm becoming. I'm becoming a more disciplined person around money. I'm becoming a person that money comes easily and effortlessly to me because I value and I invest in myself and I respect money. I know that sometimes people don't understand the impact of something so small yet so profound, and that is, how do you physically handle your money? How do you handle your credit cards, debit cards, cash? Do you have an attractive wallet? Do you keep track of your expenses? Is it visible for you? Like, can you easily grab what you need in a hurry? Are you scrambling? Are you the person that is scrambling like Polly in, It's All About Polly? There's a movie with Jennifer Aniston, and she's the kind of, hippie bohemian person that, like, she sits her purse down on the ground and she's dumping out her purse on the ground to find her keys, to find what she needs, and that's kind of like, a disrespect. It's like, you don't put your purse on the dirty ground. Like, you don't take everything that's in your purse and lay it on a dirty ground. That's a disrespectful behavior. So the same thing goes with your wallet. How are you physically handling your money? Do you have an appropriate place to handle your cash? Do you have a register or a way to document what cash you have on hand? Are you using the Dave Ramsey's method? Are you using a credit card with like Velocity banking? Are you using debit cards and you're only doing a cash system, but do you even realize if you're using debit cards, your money's not protected if somebody, uses your cards and steals from you? Whereas when you use a credit card, you are protected. So again, all of these variables around money, will become enlightened to you as you dive into the practical application of, hey, Lord, I read this passage, and this is where I'm confused about this particular point. Lord, will you please show me this week, what do I need to understand more thoroughly? And when I am still, be still and know that I am God, that those answers are going to come. They may come in the form of an email. They may come in the form of somebody just starting a conversation about saving and investing. They may come in the form of, you get a flyer in the mail that says, here's a new credit card and apply, and you can get 0% for, 18 months. It may be that one thing that comes into your field of circumstances. And so it's about taking an action step. So I got that flyer and I thought, okay, I've got a couple credit cards. They're at 24%. If I take that one action and I apply for the 0% credit card and I move those 24% credit cards to a 0% credit card, then I buy myself time that, I've got 18 months to pay down this debt. And it's a lot better to do it at 0% than it is at 24%. So the point is strategizing. Your brain is going to start to rewire, and you're going to start to think positively. How can you get out of a current negative situation? And so then the current me is looking at the past me going, I don't want to live the way that I was living and not paying off the entire balance of the credit card. I want to really get to a place where, I have the credit card, I charge what I charge, and I pay it off at the end of the month. So, but when you have circumstances such as narcissistic abuse, narcissistic financial abuse, identity theft, and you are the recipient of those types of circumstances, it may take some time to be able to do that because there's a lot that's going on. You're repairing your credit. You're making sure that you are becoming disconnected from all of the enmeshment that you were in because of someone else stealing your identity. So therefore, you are taking action steps. So then when I got that 0% credit card, there was a little bit of a reprieve, the stress level. I could drop my shoulders some more because I wasn't, dealing with 24% interest accruing. I was dealing with 0%. So what I'm getting at is we all have to really concretely, with discipline, look at our situation and say, what can I do to improve the situation? Now, many of us, given the season that we just came through, the season of Hanukkah and Christmas and buying gifts for ourselves, buying gifts for other people, decorating our homes, up-leveling our homes with other things that make it cozy for other people to visit, new linens for the guest bedroom, etc., new pillow cases that make your place look festive. All of these things, they're not wrong, okay? It's just that if you're doing it without the consciousness of there has to be an end goal of paying off this debt. You can't just keep being in a rotating cycle of creating and creating and creating more debt. There needs to be an end point where you're paying it off. And so what I'm getting at is one action step can then catapult you into the next series of action steps. So after I got that 0% credit card and transferred the balances over, then I started to evaluate, what things in my home are things that I purchase on a regular basis, and what are the real basic needs versus what are the wants. And when I established that after looking over my spending patterns, and that means looking at the credit card statements, looking at your bank statements, looking at your Amazon statements, looking at, what you've purchased, and then you see a pattern of what are your values and what are you spending the most of your money on, and where are your money leaks. And through that, I could see that, okay, around the holiday time, because people were coming in and out of town and I was on the go, I spent more money eating out during that holiday season because I was visiting with other people and I was in different places, and therefore, I'm going to be eating out. I'm going to meet for coffee. I'm going to meet for dinner. I'm going to meet for lunch. And therefore, that was an expenditure that I might not have really budgeted for, but I spent it, okay? And so it's that awareness, like, oh, okay, I did that, but I can't create this pattern all the time if I want to eliminate this debt. So it's that mindset again. Here's the negativity, here's the money leak. Now what am I going to do about this particular scenario? How can I, if I order the coconut water that I like, and I am able to take that coconut water and put it in my glass bottles that I like, that I recycle my glass bottles, and I'm able to drink my coconut water and take it with me on the go in a convenient format for me, then I'm not stopping to get a coffee when I'm on the road. I have my coconut water with me. It has electrolytes. It's nourishing me and hydrating me. So that's what I mean about once you see your patterns, then you can figure out how you can, purchase in bulk the coconut water that you really like to drink. And then you're not going to the store every week for just 2 bottles of coconut water or something. Like, you buy a case, and then you have that case available, and you're not running as frequently to the store. And you know that when it gets to the certain level and you're looking at the number of coconut water containers you have left, and you're like, oh, it's time to order another 12-pack. And then I can put that on my calendar and make it a seamless thing, instead of scrambling around at the last minute. Oh, I'm out of this. But sometimes our lives are so busy that we're on autopilot with so many other things that, we are scrambling. So the question is, do we want to be in a state of scramble, or do we want to decide, and start spending our money on the necessities, and then very selectively choosing what we want for our wants, meaning get our needs met first and curb our spending so that we can get that debt out of the way, and then we can focus on our wants without the hassle and the haggle of the debt. So I hope that illustrates, what I was trying to point out about, you have behavior that you did in your past for your past you, and then you are your current you, where you're looking at all of the expenses that you made, during the holiday season, and you're going, oh wow, I spent this and this, and here's my money leaks. And then you're being still, you're reading the Bible, you're reading the Torah, you're reading the basic instructions, and you're saying, okay, God, now I understand what you want me to do. You want me to be more like Joseph, who prepared with the grain and saved for that 7-year supply, so that when the lean times come, that you're prepared. You have the extras on hand to be able to sustain, those droughts, to be able to sustain those lean times. But that means that you've got to focus on what your needs are versus what your wants are, because our wants are not necessarily the things that are going to help us out the most. And there are things that you can do that really don't cost money. So I'm going to give you another example. So you buy, let's say coconut water and it comes in a plastic bottle. Most people will put the plastic bottle in the recycling container or trash, and that's it. But if you take that plastic container and then you fill it up with distilled water, or you fill it up with spring water, and now you have a water container that is ready and on the ready, that if for whatever reason you ran out of power in the winter time, you have a nice supply of clean, purified water at your disposal to cook from, to bathe in, etc. But if you're not doing the things of discipline to save that bottle and refill it, and you're just throwing away the empty bottle, well then you're missing out on utilizing your resource, as an example. And the same thing can be applied to what I just said about, if you buy kombucha, and when you're done with the kombucha, you save the glass bottle, and you end up using that glass bottle from kombucha, and this becomes your coconut water bottle as you're traveling about your day. So what I'm getting at is, it's being resourceful and practical, which is going to save you money instead of having the money leaks that maybe you've become accustomed to because it was easy and convenient. So the question is, are you willing to do the necessary discipline to get you to the next level? So I hope that helps illustrate that there's the past you, there's the current you, and then there is the future you that is becoming the ideal you. And in order to become that ideal you, that means that you need to discipline yourself so that you can overcome the shortcomings, the sins, the weaknesses, the missing the mark that you've had in your past. I'm going to stop there. I hope you have a great evening, everybody. Bye.